I'm ranaal-falaki.
I'm Pavel.
And welcome to
the Nail It podcast.
This is your place to lead better, live fully, and laugh more. It's your blueprint to optimal performance. Welcome to another episode of Nail It. Lead better, live fully, and what, Bavin?
Laugh more.
Laugh more.
Not at me, not at me.
Laugh at you, not with you. Yes, I know. So how are you doing, Bav? Have you had a good week?
I'm good, yeah. So obviously we're recording this in August, so it's summer holidays. So a lot of time with the kids, a lot of time to reconnect and actually understand what my kids are about. They're growing so fast.
Well, I was fascinated when I met them for the first time the other week that you literally, I thought that you had them lined up on the sofa reading books because you'd heard me ring the doorbell and felt that, and I honestly thought you'd like line them up to look like the perfect children when I walked in. Because what parent is able to do that with two young kids? They were so into their reading. You'd taken them to the library and they were reading about Shakespeare.
They were. No, he picked that himself. So he's read little Shakespeare books at school, so he knows a little bit about them. But that was actually one of the non-fiction books that I told him to pick up and start reading. So it's good.
It's good. He liked that. Seeing was your interaction with them, and that they wanted to ask you questions, and you gave them the attention. And it's all about not being distracted, right? Being in the moment, being able to focus on them when they needed you, and then time sort of expressing your own needs, even though you're a busy parent, of like, actually, can you go and sit down and watch TV now, because I really need to speak to Renna.
Yeah. No, it's just I'm a great believer in this first 10 years and trying to be as present as I can for them, and hopefully one day they'll look back and go, do you know what, Daddy was there. I didn't want to be one of these satellite husbands or father that just goes in and out. There's not there on the weekdays. So I try to do pickups and drop-offs where I can, and I think it's really important.
Or that we don't become these parents, which I think in dentistry is so easy to do when we have such busy lifestyles that provide for them materialistically. Like we want to pay for their schooling, we want to pay for their food, we'll buy them gifts, and actually that's not what they're going to remember, are they? They're going to remember the time you spent and what you taught them.
This is it. And I remember the time I spent with our guest today as well.
Yes, tell us, who have we got here then?
We really look forward to this one. This is Cat, the lovely Cat Edney. She is a powerhouse. I want to say we did train together last year on your course, Verona. So the coaching, mentoring, and education we did last year with Smile Academy. Cat is one of the most funny and inspirational ladies I know in hygiene and therapy. She is a spearhead and a massive cheerleader for therapists across the country. I think she's making moves, and she is introduced a new thing called modern therapy, which hopefully we'll talk about today as well. And I'm so happy to have her on.
Welcome, Kat.
Thank you so much, both of you. Oh my goodness, what an introduction, Bav. I feel like that just rolled off your tongue, like you actually meant it.
I forgot another dentistry top 50 person on here. Like, I'm surrounded by them.
Wow. Absolutely. Congratulations for that. That was a wonderful, fun evening, and a brilliant celebration of impact, leadership, transcendence, and the ability to pass on your knowledge, which we're going to get onto. But before we do that, we have a question for you.
Yes, Kat, what is your favorite quote?
Do you know, I am really, really terrible at these things, right? And I maybe should have said this to you before we started. But I have the worst memory. I have the worst memory for people, names, faces. And then when it comes to quotes, I'm probably, not very academic or clever with it at all. But Bav, listening to you talking about your children, I also have three. I have three children, and my twin girls, they are tweens now, right? They're 12, and so I've covered their walls in quotes because I felt that they just needed, like that little reminder of the things that they should hear, you know, that I wish I had heard as a child. And one of them, which we all talk about that we love, they, you know, all three of us, although we're really different women in this household, we all love the same one. And I don't even know if it's a real quote.
It is now.
Is
Exactly. You're making it. You're making it.
the quote is by Coco Chanel.
Okay. Interesting.
And it's a girl should be two things: who and what she wants.
I love that.
I'm still processing that.
So basically, don't let anyone tell you what you want. Don't let anyone tell you what you are, who you should be, how you should behave. You just be you. Whatever you want, wherever you want to be, whoever you want to be, wherever you want to go in life, there's no limits, basically, is what that says to me. And I really hope that I model that to my girls as well. Because, you know, we grew up, I'm an 80s child. So that means that I grew up in an era of like magazines talking about pinching an inch, or or you know, how perfect your hair can be straightened, or how thin your eyebrows can be made, and you know, and it was a really difficult existence to just accept yourself and have a goal and want to be something more than just a pretty girl. So that's what I'm hoping for my very boisterous, outgoing, outdoorsy, sporty girls. I'm hoping that they feel that they can just be who or whatever they want to be.
Love that.
Without anybody telling them they can't, without anybody telling them what they should and shouldn't do, without anybody telling them how they should and shouldn't do something, right? There's freedom in that.
And also no expectations from us as parents on what they become. You know, I have no expectation. I'm not trying to push them to be high achievers, low achievers, no achievers. You know, I just want them to be happy. That's it, right? Easy. It's such an easy goal.
Yeah, yeah. And I think as parents, I certainly have a lot of friends who do not do that. And so much of it is societal. It's how we're brought up in the first place. It's the expectations our parents placed on us, particularly culturally, that huge expectation placed upon you. I, like you, have not put that expectation on my children like you. I want them to be happy. I want them to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. I want them to have the freedom to be who they want to be and to succeed in life. And that success doesn't mean a high-flying job. It's about their own inner peace. Because for me, that's my definition of success. So they are your tweens. How amazing! Did they love their walls of quotes?
Well, they do love the walls of quotes, but they didn't love sharing a bedroom. So the last few weeks, because of it being summer holidays, I've had to give up my spare room, which is an expectation I've had on myself, that you must have a spare room in your house, you know, and I've had to give up this spare room for them to have their own bedroom, because my son also has his own bedroom. So now the wall of quotes has been dissembled and they've been split up into different areas.
They have to pick their favorite quotes and take them. They're fighting over quotes.
Yeah, exactly that. So you know, so we're still sorting it all out. They do love it, but it's, you know, it's one of those things that they like to change things over all the time. So maybe the colors are different now.
They have their choice and they get to choose rather than stuff being put upon them, which is brilliant. So what I'm hearing a lot here, Kat, see this, that's very much my coaching phrase, isn't it? You guys are familiar with that. What I'm hearing you say,
coaching hat on.
there we go, is a desire for growth that's coming from you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think for me, my existence in the last sort of maybe 10 or 15 years has been focused on not just my own personal growth, but on my profession and the profession's growth, and the ability to be limitless, and the ability to really advocate for yourself. And it's that whole thing of, you know, you can be who or whatever you want to be. Well, I qualified I started training 20 years ago. So I started seeing patients 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, when I started seeing patients, I was told pretty much straight away that you're only ever going to do half of your career, half of your training. The other half, it's a nice thing to know about, but you'll probably never actually put it into practice.
And here you're talking hygiene versus therapy.
Versus therapy. So I always had that limit, right? And I had this sort of really euphoric moment when my brain turned on to the fact that the only person putting these limits on myself is me. Because I'd heard it and just believed it, and I hadn't actioned anything other than that. So yeah, and I've got the children to thank for that. I've got my family, my husband, and everything, that, you know, all that sort of growth that we had when we had our family, and we realized what had happened to us as young people, you know, our parents' expectations and the outside influences that have happened to us and how that can affect you. And I started looking inwardly and realizing that I was hugely limiting myself just because I had conformed to what everyone else believed to be true as well. So yeah, growth is a big thing for me right now.
And that leads us on to your modern therapy then, right? Is that why it was born?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably quite an argumentative person.
Are you?
Yeah,
I never noticed that. I don't know that.
Are you joking? Yeah, so I've got to the point in my life where, you know, I'm going to be 40 this year. I'm very old.
That's not old.
I've got to the point in my life.
That you've got people in their 50s looking at you right now. Come on, now you're a baby.
So yeah, I'm at that point where actually I'm really happy with my skin, who I am. And I feel like if something doesn't feel right, if I don't agree with something that someone's saying, or I know that they're wrong, or they're putting something on me that they shouldn't, I've got to the point where I can argue it. I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable in my skin, but also in my knowledge. And with the modern therapist, I felt that I needed to help other therapists, essentially, in going on that journey that I had gone on. I'd really battled to go from working as a hygienist to working as a therapist. The battle and the trials and tribulations I went through are unreal, really. Thousands of pounds worth of courses, lots of travel, putting up with so much misunderstanding, misinterpretation, just general meanness from colleagues. I didn't want another therapist to ever have to go through that. And so the modern therapist was born with an overarching aim of putting therapy into practice. But that has two sides to it, really, essentially. One side is training therapists to be awesome, amazing therapists, be able to do the work, be confident in the work, know everything about the job, know the rules and regulations that govern them. And then the other side of it is, because you can't have a great therapist without a role for them to go into, is to train dental practices, their teams, practice owners, in the benefits of working with dental therapists. Because ultimately you can be the most talented clinician in the world, but if you can't get the environment, the role, the values of teamwork, and the ability to just do the job you were trained to do, then you'll lose those skills very quickly. So I try really hard to be able to do both things, whether it's working or not. I mean, I do see therapy a lot more. In the UK, we've got, you know, the NHS allowing therapists now to work on it, which is amazing. And Jason Wong has done such an incredible job bringing team into the conversation, really. And there are corporates that are looking at the model. And I've worked with so many private practices now who are thriving on a therapy-led model. It's super exciting, but I'm still on a regular, I would say more than twice a day, receiving messages from dental therapists saying, I haven't picked up a drill for 10 years, I can't find a job. So there's a lot of work to do.
But you are on a mission.
Yeah.
So you also said, you know, you alluded to, and I could hear the pain in your voice, and it's up to you if you want to go there, in terms of the challenges that you faced, and that wasn't just like the courses that you went on. I imagine from what you're saying, you would have had a lot of hostility possibly towards you as well. And like I said, when people bash you down constantly saying you can't do it, or I'm sure you start to develop this gremlin, this other inner belief that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, and that of course affects your confidence. So I'd love to know, like, obviously you had this inner drive, this huge passion, and I don't, there's a passion there, that underlying drive now of I don't want anyone else to have to go through what I went through. And yet you had to have grit, you had to have focus, you had to have determination, you had to have belief, you had to feel limitless, you had to follow your intuition, all of those elements that we talk about in Nail It to get there. So what was it that gave you the confidence to keep on going?
Apart from a good coach.
Well, I mean, obviously, I've had amazing coaching. Thank you, Beth.
No comment.
5 amazing sessions.
That's all you needed. That's all you needed. That's all you needed.
Honestly, I know I should have had a gremlin. I feel guilty that I didn't have one.
No, but that's fine that you didn't. It's just a lot of other people would have, right?
Yeah.
So for you, it was a different story. It sounds like you'd already overcome that before you adopted this decision.
I think that I didn't get to the stage where I could develop a gremlin because I was so angry. I was so annoyed and so put out by the status quo and by comments that I had to put up with listening to, that I actually went way past gremlin stage and just into fight mode. And I'm probably still there a little bit. There's a little bit of a fight in me, not for myself, because I'm so fortunate that I've really landed in a role that I adore. Absolutely, it still has its challenges, but I adore it. But that gremlin stage just wasn't there because I had snapped. And the way I liken it, I've spoken about this before. In my mind's eye, I have a sort of like bottle of tolerance, and that level of tolerance that I had just topped out. And instead of, I did cry, like I had 2 weeks of like tears, basically, of like, I'm so frustrated, frustration tears. In my mind's eye, I just put the lid on that bottle of tolerance and I stopped accepting it. And I don't tolerate it anymore. So that's what I mean by argumentative, is I don't just keep quiet when dentists, usually, but not always, say, something untoward, like, crazy comments sometimes that just don't make any sense. I had somebody on a course who was teaching on the course say, well, what is this therapist thing? Can I just train my nurse up on a weekend or something? Can she come and do this course and do dentistry?
I'd love to win a fly on the wall.
Right. I tolerated that, and that went in the bottle, right? And then even now you get a lot of sort of like, wow, when therapists come and do courses, like they almost pat us on the head, like you're even better than dentists sometimes. It's like,
well, they say that about hygienists a lot of the time as well. They'll always say, well, I mean, let's face it, hygienists are going to be much better at treating perio than a general dentist.
It's a pat on the head. And what they don't realize is it's a human being with the same 2 hands, a foot for the pedal, and the same training on this particular set of skills. So it makes no difference what your title is. It's almost like it makes no difference whether I'm, as red-skinned as I am, or if I was a tanned individual from a tanned area, I would still need love and care and attention and appropriate, behavior around me. It doesn't matter where you come from or who you are, what your title is. If you've got the same skill set, you can do the same work. And so I think it's just sort of like some people feel the need to almost make you feel better about who you are. Oh, you're a therapist, but don't worry, a lot of therapists are really good.
Wow. That's quite patronizing, which I mean, for you, I think you can. So the image I got when you talked about your bottle of tolerance is the picture I got in my head was like a fizzy drink, actually. And that's what I thought you were going to say, that it was all filled and then you put the lid on it and then you gave it a good old shake and you opened it and you just allowed it to all fizz out. That was the picture I got. Just like, okay, you can go in, but at some point this is going to fill up. I'm going to give it a shake and I'm going to explode. And that doesn't mean I'm going to get angry and have a go at you all or make a mess, but it just means there is now no stopping me.
Let's go with that visual, right? But if you let go of that fizz in the bottle, eventually it's gone.
Goes
But
flat.
I've still got my bottle of tolerance. It's powered up and it powers me every day. I don't need to let go of that, because it's actually, I've turned that into my superpower. That's what drives me, is that need for understanding across the profession, is that need for other therapists to have an amazing role like the one I'm so lucky and so fortunate to be in at the moment. It's actually a need for the profession, the public, everyone to go, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's it. I just want them, oh yeah, that actually does make sense. I can understand why we do that, or why you have that job, or why that is that role. I still don't understand why we call it therapist. I don't think I can ever explain that one away. But
What
but
would you put it instead?
oh, there is no other instead. I've tried so many different titles. My favorite one so far is demi dentist.
Demi dentist. Is
DD.
this,
DD. But nothing really works. But my patient today was very taken aback by me calling myself a therapist. He really struggled with the idea, because he really did not want me to delve into his psyche. You know?
Well, that's it. Exactly. I mean, I suppose that's where you need to use the word dental therapist or oral health care therapist, as opposed to therapist, which, like you say, people would immediately associate that with some kind of psychologist. But actually, we think therapy is just another name for treatment, right? It's like we
yeah.
talk about periodontal therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never thought of that. I've never thought of that.
Kind of going into your mindset, but
It's just that I don't use the title, you know. So you'd book me online and you'll book me as a hygienist. As much as I try very hard. I mean, I'm very lucky that I do have that now as therapist, but in the past, it doesn't matter what work I was doing, people would call you a hygienist. And I am a hygienist, and I love the fact that I'm a hygienist. I've got 2 qualifications, right? I've got both of them. But I currently work, or the work I do is that of a therapist. So I try very hard to tell people that, you know, as much as possible.
how would you identify yourself? Because I just heard you say a couple of things. You were like, I am a therapist, or I am a hygienist. And I mean, Bav knows where I'm going with this. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this as well. Of just, how do we you also mentioned earlier about identity and labels, and that you don't need to have these labels. And then I hear you saying, I am a therapist, as opposed to this is something I do, not who I am.
Yeah.
So who are you, Kat?
Exactly.
Multifactorial being.
Yep.
With many strings to their bow, you know. There's so many things I love. But what I am genuinely striving to be at my core is somebody who does the things that makes them happy. You know, and so yeah, I love being a therapist. I do genuinely identify in that way. But I also identify, as a mother, as a wife, as a happy person, friendly person. I was always in school called the mother hen. I liked looking after people, caring for people, gathering people. So there are multiple things that I would identify as, but my goal is to be just a happy person.
So when I'm thinking about optimal performance and about nail it, we talk about the play model of optimal performance. It's kind of the things that all the elements allow you to master. And when you master that system, you master productivity, you master living in balance, and you master happiness, actually. And I'm definitely hearing this common theme with our guests, Bav. I don't know about you, but there just seems to be a drive, a passion, and they're happy. They're
Yeah.
genuinely, which is really one of the secrets to not burning out, right?
Yeah.
How to keep that sustainable level of high performance. So what do
Yeah.
you secret is, Kat, that you would share? If you had to give one piece of advice, be it to anybody who's listening, they might identify as a therapist, a hygienist, a dentist, someone in the dental industry, someone maybe who isn't even in dentistry but is listening to this podcast, which is really the underlying essence is about personal growth and optimal performance. What would your advice be?
It's so tricky, isn't it? Because what the easy thing to say would be just do what makes you happy.
But then how do you know what makes you happy? I mean, it's for us, you might take it for granted, but so many people don't know. They get stuck. They don't know what their passions are. They don't know what their purpose is. And actually, the older they get, the harder they find to engage in that because their kids are older, they're nearing the end of their career, and they really lose sight of that because they've attached their identity and their purpose to things rather than something deep inside themselves.
And I think for me, it's a lot of soul searching and finding out what it is that really is your core values. What is it that makes you feel that you're achieving or doing something good? For me, I want to feel like I've done good in the world. I want to feel like I've left a legacy that has really, helped some other people, whether it's my family or my colleagues or strangers or patients or whoever it is. So I think it's about finding out what your core values are, what it is that you really truly think is important in life, and then work towards providing that for yourself and for other people, for those around you. And I think we're humans, we need human connection. So if you can make people around you feel good when they're around you, be a light rather than sucking light from people, then that actually makes you grow and feel happy as well.
That's beautiful. See, I remember when I first started my coaching journey, and I'd been a very, very high achiever, and as very successful running my own practice and traveling all around the world, teaching perio and pioneering everything, wasn't I? But I remember then when I was going through my divorce and I was just thinking, actually, you know what? I think I'm just repeating the same patterns of behavior in life and these ups and downs. And whenever anything was happening, I'd feel like really happy. And then if I wasn't achieving something, I'd have a bit of a down. So it was all attached to external things. And then eventually I stumbled across a coach because it was like, actually, I don't need a counselor or a therapist. I was a highly functional individual. And it was that the coach said to me, we're going to take a deep dive into finding out who Rana is. And for me, that was literally like putting a warm blanket around me and suddenly realizing, wow, you know what? I've never actually taken the time to do that.
Yeah. And it's the most important thing, isn't it? You need to understand yourself before you understand others and how you then optimally work with others. It goes back to our disc profiling.
Yeah, well, you did that, didn't you, Bav? When we started teaching you on the coaching, both of you, coaching, mentoring, it was actually who are you? And until you understand that, which so often we're so busy, everything is reactive rather than responsive. But when you actually take the time to think, okay, like who am I? Like you said, Kat, what are my values? Like what drives me? What is important to me? How much am I engaging in that? Then you start to understand what your triggers are, what causes you stress, what you thrive in, the type of people you want to hang around with, the type of people you definitely don't want to hang around with. And you also develop a skin because, Kat, you have a lot of people and a lot of kind of hearsay that want to fight you. And of course, we know that that all comes from their own insecurities. But you need to be strong enough in yourself. It's this whole thing about, you've got to grow roots and they've got to spread out. And when you know yourself, that's what you are. You are a tree with wide spreading roots. So that when people come at you and they criticize you and they attack you and they try to put you down or they say nice things about other people and specifically avoid something about you, it doesn't bother you because you have enough confidence and belief in what you are, who you are, and what you do. Back to Coco Chanel, right?
Completely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think also knowing that, you know, this is the, and going back to the girls as well, the children, knowing that we all kind of have a spotlight on ourselves, and we all think everyone's looking at us because there's this spotlight, and realizing that when you get to that realization that actually my spotlight that I see on myself is no brighter than the spotlight someone else sees on themselves, and so everything they do, everything someone says, does, thinks, the actions they take will be because of the way they feel about them, the way they see themselves, the way they see their position in life, where they want to go, where they want to do. And it's a very purposefully selfish thing. We don't mean to be selfish, but it's supposed to be that way, right?
Yeah.
Because we should look out for ourselves. But it's that realization that my inner self and the way I see myself is not how other people see me, you know. And so now you can have any opinion of what I do, or any opinion of where I go, or what I say, or anything that you like, and I don't mind. That's fine, because you can't see me the way that I see me. I can't see you the way that you see you. And so I kind of give everybody actually grace to have their opinions now, and it doesn't change how I feel anymore. You know,
It's also having that realization that other people are not thinking about you as much as you think about yourself, right?
Yeah, completely. So that gives you such a sense of freedom. And since I've had that freedom, I feel like in my writing, so I write a column every month. And in my writing, I feel so free. I feel that I can express.
What column is?
Oh, it's dentistry.co.uk. Yeah. And I feel so free because I can express exactly what I think with no barriers. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. And I love that column because I get so many people messaging me saying, I was thinking exactly that, but I was too afraid to say it out loud, you know? Or actually, I think we think the same. Having that realization that you can just be who you are and that's okay is just perfect for me. It's exactly where I want to be in life.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful place to aspire to. And I think growth, personal development, professional development, coaching definitely helps you get there. It's all that level of consciousness. So on that note, we keep talking about NAILET, and you've mentioned so many of the elements today.
Yeah.
So, but obviously NAILET is an acronym, and so there are 6 core pillars, which are 6 subsystems, and from that we have 38 components. What would I don't know whether to say whether it's your favorite or what do you feel is the most important of those 6?
I'm not going to be able to answer saying most important because they work in conjunction with each other.
They do.
Right? So there is no
textbook answer here. Look at the geek over there.
Trained her well.
We have it well. You've trained her well. Yeah.
That's my gold star.
Yeah, I know. She needs a Blue Peter badge, that girl.
But for me, the one that really resonates the most, and that sort of like I can pinpoint as being the thing that turned my life around, really, was intuition.
I knew she was going to say that. It's only because I have this intuition.
She always says that. She always says that.
I said it with her last year.
She's like a psychic. Can you tell me the lottery numbers next time?
I really am. It's like you're about to say the words, and it's like I'm pulling it out.
Yeah. Mystic Meg over there. Yeah.
There we go. Absolutely.
I can see you, Rena, sort of getting really like, say it.
I know the word.
She's sending you subliminal messages, guys.
No, but
go on then. Why intuition then?
It is really because because gut feeling is something that we don't understand enough. We should follow it more often. We should tune into it more often, because ultimately, if your gut tells you that something is right, then even if it's not right, you like it, and that means you might find some good in it, you know. So I always try to follow my intuition. If I think something's right, then I just try and jump 2 feet in, give my time to it, you know, even if it feels a little bit off kilter or off center. and in terms of like what I would normally be doing. But also crucially, there are so many opportunities that come up, as I'm sure you both have as well. You get a ton of opportunities, people want to work with you, or people want to, you know, join in or help you or do stuff with you. And that is so lovely, but my intuition often goes, this isn't quite where I want, or what I want to do, or do I actually have the energy, time, space to lend to this when I have a passion? My passion project is the modern therapist, putting therapy into practice, and I've got the family, I've got my children, I've got my outside life that I'm very protective over. So I trust my gut a lot, and I feel like I'm missing out a lot of the time because I do have to say no sometimes. And you know, you have a pang of guilt. You feel guilty because you do like these people, you know, like what they stand for, but your intuition might tell you that it's just not for you, or you aren't able to offer it everything that they would want. And
I think we discussed this in one of our sessions, didn't we?
yeah, I think we might have actually.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. And who knows, maybe I'm wrong, but I'd rather go with my gut and be wrong than go against my gut.
Yeah,
You know?
I think I told you to go with that.
Yeah.
This becomes multifaceted, right? You mentioned boundaries, the input, and you mentioned being selfish earlier, and how actually selfish is important. You do need to look after yourself, and you do need to have boundaries, because again, it's about, remember that bit about keeping your life in balance, which without boundaries, there's no way you can do that. And the intuition piece is all about decision making, and it might be just not right now, because this needs, what you're talking about is prioritization as well, really another leadership skill, time management. It's like, what is actually really important to me? My baby at the moment, and my passion, and the reason I'm doing this stuff, is the modern therapist. And if I want to grow that and allow it to create the biggest impact that I know it can do, then that needs my energy. So, and your intuition really is just your gateway to your subconscious. So people think it's this woo-woo thing, and there are many different types of intuition, and we write a lot about it in the book. But the main thing is it's a gateway to your subconscious. So something is telling you, and what happens is there's a stimulus that happens, and that might be a conversation with somebody requesting, and it stimulates something that's stored in your subconscious brain, because your conscious brain just cannot retain that amount of information. So the system is the North Star Navigator, and we have 4 components to it that we would teach people. So it's about silence. In this day and age, it's very difficult to silence your brain. So those shower moments or driving in the car, listen to them, because they are brilliant times to actually to hear your intuition. Trust is the other thing. So you mentioned that it's almost, actually, is it your intuition or is it your fear? Because there's going with your intuition to do something, but sometimes your intuition is telling you not to do something, and we go against it anyway and may live to regret it. I've certainly done both. So learning to trust it, and actually, is it a fear or is it an intuition? Because sometimes they can feel like the same thing in the gut. And then of course attach, which is, again, I know you do this, so it's like that practice, be it if you're out in nature or you're practicing mindfulness or whatever it is, to have that connectivity. So being able to attach to your mind, your body, and your soul, really, to be able to tap into your intuition. And then the R in that star stands for true recognition. So we have to be able to trust ourselves, trust other people, and also recognize when something really is an intuition. And it can be taught. I mean, that's the point, right? Is you can actually train your intuition, and it is the most powerful decision tool available, which actually leaders recognize nowadays, that it is a huge leadership skill. It's like the gut sandwich, sandwich between logic and feelings. You have to have intuition.
And it's really interesting because I feel that you have to practice.
Absolutely.
You can't just suddenly be amazing at trusting your gut and it always be right. I feel like I'm constantly having to check in and be like, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about that? What do I want to do now? And you're constantly having to remind yourself of that North Star, and what you're doing in that is sort of like going through a checklist. And I find that really helpful, actually, Rana, because it does mean that I practice trusting my gut, or at least listening to it.
Yeah, we get you to keep we get our clients to keep an intuition journal once they've got worked their way up to that higher level of consciousness, is to keep an intuition journal. So every time they get one, actually write it down, and also test it. Also, we'll say test the waters. So you don't have to start with some huge massive leap if you're not ready. But if something was an intuition, then just follow it, and then be consciously aware, so very mindful of the consequences of having followed it, until you build up your trust. Exactly like you say, it's a skill to learn.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Gosh, I've loved listening to you. We could just carry on the rest of the
I think we've got to have her again. We've got to put her on again.
Gonna have to come back again. Kat, how can people find you? Because obviously you're doing your courses through having been the founder of The Modern Therapist. How can people get hold of you, find you, follow you?
So the website is www.themoderntherapist.co.uk. And then my Instagram is cat_London Therapist. And really, those are my two best platforms. But also, I am always open to people just messaging me. I am more than happy to take messages on Instagram or on Facebook, wherever you can find me, or through my website. If there's anybody out there who needs to have a chat, to have some support, interested in how to improve their therapy life or to put therapy into practice, then I would love to hear from them.
Well, it's worth saying, you are a qualified trainer, educator, and mentor and coach. So you have you've practiced the skills to be able to pass them on and support other people as well, and you do it brilliantly. I've heard your teaching and your coaching and your mentoring, and it's all fantastic. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Kat.
So much fun. Thank you.
Quite tease Bavin as much as planned, which is why we definitely have to gonna get you back on.
I just had to keep you two talking, didn't I? So.
Yeah, that was your tactic. Anyway, thank you. So thank you for listening to another episode of Nail It. Can you remember, Bav? What's the first phrase?
Lead better, live fully, laugh more.
And laugh more.
I'm getting it now.
We will see you again. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Nail It podcast. We would love it if you would leave us a 5-star review. And if you'd like to feature as one of our guests, or you're ready to nail it, then check out our events, programs, and educational courses by visiting nailitindentistry.com.